Hello world and welcome back to another episode of Botania, where today we're going to be covering all the final things when it comes to mana and mana spreaders. Starting off with a little bit of an upgrade to the ordinary mana spreader, we have the elven mana spreader. You can get this as soon as you have the Alfheim portal, as this is just going to need dreamwood, 6 of them in total, 1 elementium ingot and any petal colour that you would like, and this will give you the elven mana spreader. The elven mana spreader is literally a basic upgrade to any other mana spreader, as it's just going to provide a deeper or more rich mana burst per pulse, essentially. Nothing too fancy here, it's just an upgrade. Now the problem is though, with the elven mana spreader you cannot make it into a pulse mana spreader like that, and you still have to do that only with the regular mana spreader. But as well as this, there is an upgrade to even the elven mana spreader, and that is by taking an elven mana spreader, the dragon stone and a Gaia Spirit. You can make the Gaia mana spreader. Again, a massive upgrade to the elven mana spreader, except that what's going to happen is because the bursts are so rich in mana, it will actually fire less often unless you are charging up each burst very quickly. Moving away from just basic upgrades with a mana spreader though, we have upgraded lenses as well. These are known as elven lenses, and all of these can be crafted once you have the Alfheim portal. Starting with the Painslinger Lens, this is going to be a dyeing type lens. This can use the regular mana lens, 2 pieces of elementium ingots, and any 2 different types of wool. Now, in order for this Painslinger to work, you are going to have to dye it to a specific color. That's very simple, just in your crafting table or inventory, have this lens in any type of dye you so wish. So we have this lens here. This lens is actually tinted to green. As you see, there's a bit of a green tint on there. And what's going to happen is this can actually color any types of wool. Now, it works rather large, considering when I flick this switch, it's going to turn all of it into green. So there doesn't seem to really have a range of this, and it doesn't have to be in a line. If you actually had the wall going up vertical, it seems to just paint everything in one massive go. So it's a lot better way if you want to have some sort of farm and you only have 1 type of each dye. You could just have 1 of every lens and just have a load of, say, ordinary sheep. Now this lens also does manage to dye sheep as well, which is pretty cool also. Next up, we have one of the most cool lenses in the game, and that is the warp lens. This is made with a regular lens and a pixie dust, and this lens is meant to be used in conjunction with a different type of lens, any type of lens you wish to use it for, and a force relay. So what I have here is the ball lens, and inside here I have connected the ball lens with the warp lens. Obviously you need a slime ball to connect the two to make the ball warp lens. Now something you have to remember, whenever you're connecting the warp lens to any other type of lens, you must have the warp lens be second, otherwise the effect won't work for the primary. So what we have here is we have a force relay that is linked directly to this block where the tree is on. So what we have here is a mana spreader pointing up straight to the force relay. Now because we have the warp lens, it's going to hit this relay. The relay is going to send the burst over here, and because we have the ball lens, it's going to break this tree. Now the cool thing about this as well, that once it's broken, all the items aren't going to fall where the tree is broken. It's actually going to come all the way to where the burst originally happened, meaning the mana spreader. So if I flick this here, it's going to fire it, the lens gets broken all the way up here, it all decays, and all of the logs end up flying down here. Now there is something cool about this. You could actually chain this to be even more. So what you could end up having is actually having a force relay, say at the top of a tree, and then go to another section. So you could link trees and then everything would come back to its original spot. But this is more going to be used for, say, a quick action tree farm, or any type of bore that you want to do maybe underground. The next lens is the Redirective Lens. This is made using a regular mana lens, any living wood, and a elementium ingot. Now this is very simple. As you can see, we've got loads of different mana spreaders here, and they're all pointing into random locations. Now the Redirective Lens does exactly what it says at the tin. It's going to point at a mana spreader, and when you fire it, it's going to redirect that mana spreader to now point to wherever the mana pulse came from. Now, of course, this lens isn't really going to do anything, so that we would have to reconnect it to the next one and then fire it again. But I'm sure you could figure this out to have with maybe the mana spreader rotator. You could have things flick round and round in circles. The next lens is a bit more of a decorative one. This is the Celebratory Lens. This is made using the regular mana lens, an elementium ingot, and a firework. The firework can just be the default firework. Now, in order for this to work, well, you can have it work as default, but here I've just got myself a piece of green dye, and you can tint inside of the crafting table, which you see here, and we get some green tinted ones. And I've slapped this on a mana spreader, and now when this hits a block, what it's going to do is set off a firework and give us a nice green tinge. Another decorative lens we have next is the flare lens. This is made using a regular mana lens, a piece of alpha glass, and an elementium ingot, and very similarly to the celebratory lens, you need to have this dyed. So I have got this one dyed here to a green lens, and as you can see I've just got it on a timer here, and it's just making out these nice little pulses here. Now the cool thing about this lens as well, that all of these pulses, they don't actually take up any mana, so you won't be losing anything from your mana pool with these little flares right here. It's strictly decorative in every way. Next lens is something a little bit more functional, however, and this is the Tripwire Lens. This is made using a regular mana lens, a Tripwire hook, and an elementium ingot. Now, what this does is that if you have this on a mana spreader, I've got it on a pulse mana spreader on a timer, what this can do is that this will not fire unless it actually recognizes that there is a mob in front of it. So I believe it does work with a player. As you can see here, when I walk in front of it, it does work. If I'm no longer near it, it doesn't work. However, something that's really cool that you can do with this is obviously link it with another type of lens. So if we go over here, we have the damaging lens, we could actually link the two together. Now, I believe I've already done it on this. As you can see here, the Tripwire damaging lens. And if you want the Tripwire feature to work, you have to have the Tripwire be the first one and the damaging lens be the second. So if I place that on there, and then let's say we get a creeper to spawn in, what we can do is just place a creeper in front, and it will recognize that a creeper is there, and then it's going to fire and obviously kill him. The cool thing there is that you could have this set up on maybe a load of them spread along a line in a dark room or something, and only the ones that actually have something in front of them will fire, meaning you won't waste a load of mana bursts on something that isn't even there. That's actually going to be it for all the upgraded lenses. However, there's going to be an upgraded item that you can now get called the Mana Prism. The Mana Prism is made using 6 pieces of glass, a spectral platform, and 2 prismarine crystals. And again, we can do something similar with the Tripwire lens. However, we are using a prism here with a damaging lens on it. The prism can accept any different type of lens that is in the game, and whichever burst comes out afterwards is going to be the effect of that lens. So what we have here is we've got ourselves a damaging lens on a prism, and we have a efficiency lens on here just so it ends up running a bit better. You could have something like a potency lens on here, but obviously that would waste more mana. Now what this is going to do is this is going to change what actually happens to the mana spreader. So I recommend that you would do a basic type on here first to make it run a bit better. And then if we have a similar thing here, we have a creeper, we put him inside of here, this is going to constantly spread. And obviously the damaging lens is now going to be hurting this fella. Now, there's something you can't do with this, which is a little bit annoying, is that it only ever affects what's happening afterwards. So say we just have a ordinary efficiency lens, or here you go, say we have an automatic efficiency lens afterwards, as you can see here. What's going to happen is that if I put a creeper here now, when he actually fires, it's not actually going to damage it, unfortunately. It looks like he went a little bit too far away there. Now it fires, and look, he hasn't been damaged. That's because this next efficiency lens has negated this. It has overridden what it is. It has made the mana burst last a lot longer. As you can see, it goes a lot further away. That's why it wasn't dissipating. There you go. If I have that there, now it's going to fire more regularly. So when you're linking things together, make sure it's in a certain order. He will still get damaged if he's here, but he will not get damaged if he's there. The other cool thing is that whenever you dye a lens that is on one of these prisms, is going to take the color of that lens that's tinted as well. So if I have a prism here, and this time we have a green tinted lens, you can see the lens ends up being a green spurt there. The reason why this is white here is that if there is no tint, then the mana burst will just turn to white. A couple bonus items here when it comes to mana. These are things you can get earlier in the game, but I just never had a chance to actually show them off. One of them is the Manatide Bellows. These are made using 6 living wood slabs, 1 rune of air, and a piece of leather. And what this does is going to increase the output that a mana pool can actually sort of disperse its mana. So here we have a creative mana pool, and then we've got 4 bellows, and as you can see, these bellows are pointing towards our mana pool. So these, when you place these down, it's always going to face the pool or the outlet away from you, so you want to have obviously be in the right section. Now they can't be linked together like that, that doesn't work. So what we have here is we've got a load of empty pools, and we've got ourselves a creative everlasting pool here. So if I take ourselves a recessive spark augment, if you haven't seen that tutorial, I highly recommend you check that out. Then we can place this on here, and that's going to start spreading to all of these, as you can see. But what we can do is, obviously with these bellows, is if we right click on these, it's going to actually start pumping it, and we're going to have a higher output onto our pool here. Now, having more bellows does actually increase it, but the only unfortunate thing is that obviously it's a little bit manual. But this is going to be good for, say, when you are trying to upgrade your Terra Shatterer, you could have a load of mana pools, say 4 pools altogether. You could drop your mana Terra Shatterer in the center, and each of them have a bellow, and when you go around right clicking it, it will fill all or drain all 4 of those pools very, very quickly. Next up, we have the Mana Void. This is made using 6 living rock and 2 obsidian, and all this is simply going to do is when you place it underneath a mana pool, the mana pool will now keep accepting mana. However, no extra mana will actually fit in the pool, it will just void it into the world. So here we've got a similar situation as before. We're going to have a creative mana pool with a full mana pool. We put on a recessive, and now you can see the spark is still sending mana, but obviously this isn't increasing in mana. So this is very good for when you have a farm and you don't want it to have it backed up, because if it backs up it may break. So you'll have this and it will always keep making the farm working. The last 2 are pretty simple. This one is a mana detector made with a redstone comparator, 4 pieces of redstone and 4 living rock, and this is very, very simple. Here we have a mana pulse spreader, and when this block detects mana, it's simply going to send a redstone signal. Now the cool thing about this mana burst, this mana detector as well, is that it will actually let mana pass through it, so you could have multiple linked up together and they will all set off in one after the other. So you could have pretty cool timing things here. Now the last one's pretty good for anyone who likes to have tech in their pack. This is the Mana Fluxfield. This is made using a mana ingot, 4 redstone blocks and 4 living rock. Now what this will do is this will actually send mana into this block. In any block, here we have a mechanism energy cube. If I place this next to it, as you can see, the mana is now being converted into power. The power specifically, it says, is FE, but nowadays that can mean anything. You can have it as FE or RF or anything like that, or even joules if you so wish. But that is now going to be everything when it comes to mana inside of Botania. We've actually finished a full chapter now, but next time we're going to be discussing some of the other things, such as the upgraded rods that we have and other tinkering items, so stay tuned for that. And if this video did help you out in any way, shape or form, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and ring the bell button to find out when these videos do actually go live. But until next time guys, take care.